Welcome back to my channel. So, I have a question for you. Have you ever felt like the odd one out sometimes when you visit a different place, maybe? Well, that's almost my whole life. Today, I'll talk about what it meant growing up a Sikhni or a Sardarni in a predominantly Hindu environment. So in Dapchari, we were the only non-Maharashtrian, non-Hindu people. But as a little kid, it didn't matter too much. But one incident stands out in my memory. That is when we saw our neighbor Ratan and Balya's niece one day. We were sitting at a common area between our properties when the 3-year-old came there while playing by herself. When she looked up and saw us, she ran away screaming and crying. She looked traumatized, like she was yelling, Sardarji, Sardarji. So confused, we went up to the kid's mother to ask what the matter was. We had been actually looking forward to meeting the baby and spending some time with her. Turns out, the mother had used the Sardarji identity, a unique look where the men wear a full untrimmed beard paired with a turban on the head, to scare her child into obedience. I've seen this. If a kid doesn't eat or like pesters the parents, they use something to scare the child into submission. Like the bogeyman. Needless to say, we were very hurt by this gesture, though the parents apologized. But like we felt, is this what they thought of us? Scary people. So that was the first time I saw that we were different. That our outward appearance was not the same as the Hindus. The 5 Ks of Sikhism include Kesh, meaning we are required to retain all our hair and never remove any of it. The Kesh is said to carry our strength. It's also done out of respect for the perfection of God's creation. So, about its effect on me. Now, if we were to live in Punjab, that would have been perfectly fine. I may not even have noticed it. But here in Bombay, and I'm talking about when we had moved to Bombay, I was surrounded by what I perceived as trendy, glamorous people with trendy haircuts and clothes, looking at Yasmin with her cute fringe and little ponytails, and the other Parsi girls with their bobs or other fun haircuts. I longed for a fringe or some other such haircut. There were a lot of Hindu girls with braids around, but none as long as mine. My hair had to be folded up because it was so long, like bum length hair. I was acutely aware of how my braids thinned towards the end, the never trimmed baby hair at the bottom, and these were then folded into what I thought were ugly folded braids, and ribbons were incorporated into the braids and formed bows at the base of my braids, base of my head. I was also aware of how my hair was always oiled, and many of the other kids did not seem to have oiled hair. What made it worse for me was that the braids were not a flattering look for my natural face shape. So I went through phases wherein sometimes I longed to be like everyone else and to look like everyone else, and sometimes I proudly embraced my Sikh identity. One clear memory is that of sitting in my 5th standard classroom, surrounded by my classmates who were curious about my hair. Now, until 4th standard, that is primary school, it was compulsory to wear my hair into folded braids. So all of it was completely into the braid and tucked away. So people couldn't see my hair the way they could see it now in 5th standard. So 5th standard was high school, where we could wear our braids long and let the ends hang loose at the end of like the ribbon or the rubber band. They were not folded up. So in 5th standard, It was the first time that my classmates, the same classmates as earlier, saw the golden curls that formed the ends of my hair. They surrounded me, my classmates surrounded me curiously, asking if the entire length was my hair. The ends were golden, then a little above that was brown, and then higher up it was darker, and towards the head it was the darkest. So they asked me, how is all of these different shades of hair belonging to the same person? They asked why my hair was so many different colors, and I did not know the answer. So this made me feel confused and different. Also, I was not used to getting so much attention. I was kind of used to being invisible somewhere in the background. One day, as usual, on my way home from school, I stopped under the mango tree to search for kairis, which is raw mangoes. Sometimes there would be some fallen kairis. So as I searched, for a moment I felt a sharp pain on my head. I ignored the pain and kept looking if any fallen kairis were on the ground. Then I walked home. When I reached home, my mom was shocked to see blood on my shoulder. Apparently, someone had thrown a stone at the mango tree, though I did not see anyone around, and that stone had struck my head. And I had just tolerated that pain, like I did feel some pain, but then I just ignored it and kept looking for kairis at that time. So that day I was taken to the doctor, and unbeknownst to me, the doctor had trimmed away the hair at the site of the injury, that is close to my scalp where the injury was. The next day, when my mom opened my braids to comb my hair, I was horrified to see a bunch of my hair just fall away. Till then, I did not know that my hair had been chopped off, so much of my hair. So that was the first time that my hair had ever been cut. So that was by someone else. Curiously, I had the capacity to tolerate pain without crying as a child, apparently. Around the same time that the mango tree incident happened, a classmate of mine had slammed the door on my hand, not realizing that I was holding the door frame. It was break time, and there were just two other kids in class. The boy realized what he had done and came rushing, apologizing profusely. I just kept telling him that it was okay, though he had basically killed a fingernail of mine. He had kind of smashed that finger, the ring finger on my left hand. It was smarting with pain, but I did not cry or complain even for a second. Over the year, my nail turned purple, then orange, and then all shades in between. It finally healed after a couple of years and started looking normal, but till date it feels a little different. So that was a weird thing, that as a kid, I would just tolerate pain, not cry, and not complain. Was that part of being a Sikhni? I don't know. Okay, so now back to my hair. On the rare days that my classmates saw my hair in all its glory, they admired it a lot. Like sometimes, on a Sunday we were called for some practice. So Sundays was when we kind of washed our really long hair, and so it was not braided. So on those days, like I remember one South Indian classmate, Hema, she had tight curls similar to those of Africans. So she kept admiring my hair. Another classmate, Ruma, again a Bengali girl with curly hair, she would grab my braids and place them on her shoulders, pretending those were her braids. But I was terrified when she got too close because she had an intense dandruff problem. Once I remember another incident connected with my hair. Once in 8th standard or so, the class teacher, Jain Teacher, suggested that I trim the bottom uneven edges of my hair for a class skit. So we were supposed to leave our hair open for the skit, and she said just trim the lower part of it. So shocked, I informed her that in Sikhism we were not allowed to cut our hair. At that time I was deeply religious, and I was very upset and offended at the suggestion. The ignorant teacher kept pushing for it, saying, "Oh, I'm just asking you to trim a little." And that made me like angrier and angrier. And I thought, if Indians are so ignorant, then, what about others? By the time I was in high school, my mom had inspired me to be religious, and I had started visiting the Gurudwara every morning to seek blessings before starting my day. I wanted to also undergo the ceremony called Amrit Shakna, which is the initiation ceremony, equivalent to a christening. I remember wanting to proudly wear the kirpan as a symbol that I had had the Amrit ceremony. This desire became more intense later when I encountered Eve teasers later in life. Like, I longed to teach them a lesson with the kirpan for their misdeeds. The feeling of being violated is a horrible feeling. Alas, that was not to be, and I never was initiated into the religion. Several years after the mango tree incident, as a teen, I noticed split ends on my hair. So, this was after the teacher's suggestion and after a few years. Till I was 14 or so, I had never seen or heard about split ends. So, as I saw split ends travel upward and kind of spoil the quality of my hair, I realized I had to do something about it. So, that was the first time I took a scissor to my hair. I snipped off individual ends that were splitting and damaged. I knew not to make the trimming obvious to mom because she was almost fanatical about religion and keeping the hair untrimmed. Later, a few years later, when I did trim my hair properly, it upset mom a lot and I got a sound beating. But that is another story for another time. Until then, dear viewers, I hope you enjoyed listening to my take on how my Sikh identity affected my life in another part of the country. Please subscribe to my channel if you are not yet subscribed, and if you did enjoy listening to my story, please like my video. So I'll be back, and until next time, bye.